You didn't wake up today with motivation, you woke up with memory. Not conscious memory, cellular memory. The kind that echoes through blood, through muscle, through marrow. You've been summoned, not inspired. There's a difference. Inspiration is light. This is legacy. A roar rising from the deepest part of you, something ancient, something primal. Your ancestors aren't watching you. They've entered you. You can feel it. In the weight of your stare, in the way your spine locks when you decide, in the unrelenting pull to rise even when no one's clapping. This isn't hustle. This is resurrection. And the ones who tried to break you, they're not just fighting you anymore. They're wrestling with the bloodline. There were moments you thought you were alone, moments you doubted your mind, cursed your heart, hated your softness. But you weren't soft. You were silent. You were charging. Generations before you clawed through slavery, through poverty, through war, through silence. And now they've chosen you to cash in their unfinished fight. You feel it, don't you? That pressure behind your teeth, that pull in your fists. It's not rage. It's instruction. It's the chorus of every soul that never got to finish their mission, now standing behind your eyes. You carry names you've never heard, but your body knows them. Their fearlessness didn't die. It waited. And now it's inside you, asking one question. Are you ready to be what they weren't allowed to be? You've never really been fighting alone. That dream, that grind, that obsession that keeps dragging you out of bed when logic begs you to sleep, that's ancestral pressure, the unseen push of bloodlines that couldn't afford to dream, now dreaming through you. You are the result of survival, but the beginning of domination. Understand this. You were built from impossible resilience. Your great-great-grandmother walked miles with cracked feet and a bleeding heart just so your mother could have a voice. Your grandfather bit his tongue in rooms where his dignity was dissected so you could enter those rooms and own them. And now, here you are, complaining about doubt when your bloodline was forged in defiance. Psychologically, most people operate from ego. You don't have that luxury anymore. You operate from inheritance. Every time you second-guess yourself, you spit on the graves of those who prayed for a version of you to exist. This is not about confidence. This is about accountability. You owe them. You owe yourself. You owe the version of you that will never apologize again for being intense, direct, obsessed, driven, different. Your ancestors weren't subtle. They were strategy wearing skin. And now, their fire is in your chest. That shaking in your bones, that's not fear. That's power, rearranging your nervous system. You've spent enough time doubting, enough time deluding, enough time asking permission from people who couldn't build a fraction of what you were born to construct. This version of you is not up for negotiation. This is war mode disguised as daily life. You've been called to execute, to conquer, to correct, and you won't do it with approval. You'll do it with presence. You'll walk into spaces that never welcomed your ancestors and sit down like you own the floor, because in a way, you do. You walk on land they bled for. You breathe air they were denied. You don't need to be brave. You just need to remember. There's something terrifying about a person who's no longer afraid to activate their lineage. You've become that terror. The humble kind. The quiet destroyer. The one who doesn't threaten, but demonstrates. And that's what makes you untouchable now. You've tapped into something beyond reason, beyond doubt, beyond failure. Your ancestors didn't just give you their strength. They gave you unfinished revenge. They gave you their shame and said, burn it. They handed you their silence and said, speak so loud they can't bury us again. And you finally listened. You thought you were building a business, you thought you were chasing goals, but you were answering a summoning. That's what beast mode really is. It's when survival turns into strategy, when pain transforms into purpose, when the screams of the past rise through your throat not as grief, but as command. And you're not asking for understanding anymore. You're demanding results. You're not chasing success. You're delivering consequences. That shift in your energy, that's your lineage stepping forward. No more doubt. No more softness. Just precision wrapped in legacy. You don't need rituals. You are the ritual. The prayer that made it. The proof that somebody's sacrifice wasn't in vain. And that's why you walk with weight. That's why your silence intimidates the ones who once laughed. They can feel it. That there's more than one voice in your chest now. That every time you speak, a generation speaks with you. You don't yell because you don't need to. Your existence is already a declaration, and those who underestimated you, they're about to understand what it feels like to fight someone who was chosen, not created. This isn't about being liked anymore. This is about being legendary. This is about becoming the answer to 1,000 prayers screamed into soil. You don't have to prove your worth. You are the proof. You don't have to justify your intensity. That's not a quirk. That's your bloodline finally breathing again. So go ahead. Speak differently. Walk differently. Move like there are ghosts pushing your spine forward. Because there are. They're watching. They're nodding. And now they're riding with you. Beast mode is not a mindset. It's a bloodline activation. And it's already too late for anyone who stood in your way. You didn't emerge from luxury. You were carved from scarcity, scraped together from the leftover fragments of generations who fought to simply breathe without asking permission. You come from a lineage of people who knew what it meant to survive, not metaphorically, but viscerally, to live 1 inch away from destruction, to smile through silence, to hold dignity like a secret weapon. And yet, despite the weight of survival stitched into your DNA, you are not here to repeat that cycle. You are here to end it. You are not the echo of pain. You are the blueprint of power. You are the result of survival, but the beginning of domination. And that terrifies people who built their thrones expecting your kind to stay kneeling. You are not a continuation. You are a correction. Your ancestors survived systems designed to erase them, whether through violence, erasure, or assimilation. They made themselves small to keep you alive, but you are no longer required to shrink. You are the turning point, the place in the bloodline where fear mutates into fury, and silence is replaced with strategy. Survival taught you endurance, but now you wield it like a blade. You have the scars of those who had no choice, and the vision of one who now does. That makes you lethal. You've tasted hunger, both literal and spiritual, and you've sworn that your children will only know it through stories, not experience. You are the boundary, the final line, the reincarnation of every buried scream. Domination doesn't mean you become what they were. It means you dismantle what they built. You don't seek revenge. You outlive them. You outperform their ceilings. You unwrite their narratives. You bring intelligence where they planted confusion. You bring empire where they expected ruin. They gave you survival tools. You turned them into conquest. They gave you trauma. You turned it into tactics. They gave you fear. You turned it into fire. And now you move with a kind of authority that wasn't inherited, but summoned. You no longer ask the world for space. You take it, methodically, masterfully, unapologetically. You're not here to adapt to oppression. You're here to end it, not with protests, but with power, with ownership, with leverage. You've learned how to walk into rooms where you were never invited and sit like you own the foundation, because in a way, you do. Your lineage built the world while others claimed credit. Now, you reclaim it, not with rage, but with results. You don't shout to be seen. You build in silence until you are unignorable. You don't need validation from systems that feared your ancestors. You are the system now. a walking, talking version of what happens when survival gets tired of surviving. They want you to think your story is rare, that your ascent is anomaly. But it isn't. It's inevitable. The moment someone survives long enough, they stop settling for breath and start reaching for dominion. That's where you are now. You've crawled through the phase of enduring. You've climbed out of the pit of desperation. Now you walk on your own land, not confused, not seeking, but deciding. They don't see the years you paid in silence. They only see the stance, the posture, the voice that no longer trembles. And that's exactly how it should be. Let them see the fortress. Let them question how you got here. You owe them no map, just the sight of you standing. Domination doesn't require cruelty. It requires clarity. You know who you are now. You know what they tried to erase, and you refuse to carry their shame. You've outgrown the stories of limitation. You were never born to survive endlessly. You were born to lead, to rewrite bloodlines, to turn inherited trauma into generational strength. Your presence is political. Your movement is prophecy. Your existence is already a middle finger to everything designed to keep you small. And the best part? You're just getting started. The domination hasn't even peaked yet. You're still warming up. You're not the underdog anymore. You're the unseen threat. The one they didn't mark as dangerous because you didn't shout. But you didn't need to. You studied their systems in silence. You watched them underestimate you. And now you use that blindness as camouflage. You strike with knowledge, with capital, with skill. They won't see you coming because they never bothered to look beneath the surface. That's how domination begins, not with noise, but with neural warfare, with moves calculated in the darkness, with steps made not to impress, but to conquer. You didn't choose vengeance. You chose evolution. And nothing terrifies the gatekeepers more than someone who figured out how to build their own gate. You speak now with a voice that trembles the bones of tradition. You move with a rhythm that doesn't match the beat of mediocrity. You've stopped explaining your intensity, stopped diluting your passion. You are not excessive. You are the exception, the one who turned pain into platform, who took every doubt and turned it into data. The ones who dismissed you now repeat your phrasing. The ones who overlooked you now orbit you. The ones who rephrasing reproduce you. The ones who overlooked you now orbit. That's domination. When your shadow speaks louder than their spotlight. When your presence rewrites the hierarchy. When your name alone alters the energy of a room. And this is your beginning. This is the season where the world will realize that they weren't watching your peak. They were watching your awakening. Everything you lost was the cost of transformation. Everything you were denied was redirection. You are not what happened to you. You are what you did with it. The result of survival, the seed of domination. You are both the aftermath and the uprising. And now, you walk with a force they will never understand. Because it doesn't come from textbooks or titles. It comes from truth, from lineage, from war in your blood and peace in your mind. You are the first flame in a bloodline built from ash, and you will not be extinguished. They can't place you anymore. The roles they designed, the box of the obedient, the label of the lost, all disintegrated the moment you stopped seeking their blueprint. You've stepped into a frequency that doesn't ask for translation. You don't need to be understood by those still living on the surface. You operate from depth now, from a place where silence is strategy and stillness is tension coiled into intent. You've become the part of the lineage that evolves in real time, not by erasing the past, but by owning it, not to carry the pain, but to convert it. That's domination on a spiritual level.